Imagine waking up one ordinary Tuesday morning. You swing your legs over the side of the bed, ready to start your day. But for the first time in your life, your legs just don't obey. They feel heavy, disconnected, almost like lead. You try to push off the mattress, but your muscles give way. It's a terrifying moment of realization. Your freedom, your independence, it's slipping through your fingers. And here's the coldest truth. This didn't happen overnight. It wasn't just age. It was a decade of silent warnings that you chose to ignore.
That is a haunting image, but unfortunately, it is the reality for thousands of Americans every single day. In fact, in the United States, an older adult is admitted to the emergency room for a fall every 11 seconds. Think about that for a moment. By the time we finish this opening segment, several people will have had their lives changed forever by a mobility disaster. And the tragedy is that most of them thought they were doing just fine because they didn't have a major injury yet.
That's exactly why we are here today, Dr. Collins. People think that as long as they can still walk to the car, they are safe. But you've talked about something called the Fragility Cascade. It sounds like a domino effect. Can you explain why our listeners should be terrified of that term?
The Fragility Cascade is a medical downward spiral. It starts with a tiny, almost invisible loss of balance or a slight weakness in the thighs. You think, oh, I'm just getting older, I'll take the elevator instead of the stairs. That one decision leads to muscle atrophy, which leads to less stability, which leads to a minor stumble. Suddenly, your brain becomes afraid of falling. Once that fear sets in, you move even less. Before you know it, your world shrinks to the size of your living room. You aren't just losing your ability to walk, you are losing your ability to live a life of dignity.
It's that shrinking world that scares people the most, the idea of not being able to play with grandkids or travel. But many of our listeners say, Doc, my knees hurt when I move, so isn't it better to rest? We've been told for years that if it hurts, stop. Are we actually hurting ourselves by resting too much?
Rest is often the kiss of death for mobility after age 60. We have this misconception that our joints are like car tires that wear out with use. But the human body is biological, not mechanical. Our joints and muscles actually thrive on controlled stress. When you stop moving because of a little ache, your body decides those muscles are expensive to maintain and starts breaking them down. This is called sarcopenia, the literal rotting away of muscle tissue.
That is a vivid and scary way to put it, rotting away. But it's necessary to hear. If you're sitting there thinking you're being careful by sitting on the couch more often, you might actually be fast-tracking your way to a wheelchair. But how do we know if we are already on that path? Stay tuned, because next, Dr. Collins is going to reveal the sixth vital sign that your doctor might be missing, and it's something you can test yourself in your own hallway. Welcome back. We are talking about the hidden warning signs of mobility loss. Dr. Collins, you mentioned something right before the break called the sixth vital sign. We all know blood pressure, heart rate, and temperature. What is this mysterious sixth sign, and why is it so critical for someone over 50?
The sixth vital sign is your walking speed. It sounds overly simple, doesn't it? But hundreds of clinical studies have shown that how fast you naturally walk is one of the most accurate predictors of how long you will live and whether you will end up in a nursing home. In the medical community, we often say motion is medicine, but speed is survival. If you find that you are consistently the slowest person on the sidewalk, or if you can no longer keep up with your spouse while shopping, your body is telling you that your cardiovascular system and your neuromuscular system are failing.
That's a wake-up call. I think many of us just assume we're being leisurely, but you're saying it's a biological indicator. If someone is listening and they realize, hey, I have slowed down, does that mean the damage is already done? Is it too late to turn back the clock?
It is rarely too late, but the window of opportunity closes faster than you think. The problem is that as you slow down, your gait changes. You start to shuffle. Shuffling is the precursor to a fall. When you shuffle, your feet don't clear the ground properly. A tiny rug or a door threshold becomes a deadly obstacle. I've seen patients who were high-powered executives, totally sharp mentally, but because they ignored their slowing gait, a single trip and fall led to a hip fracture. And for a person over 70, a hip fracture has a mortality rate that rivals some cancers.
That is a terrifying statistic. A hip fracture being as dangerous as cancer. It really puts things into perspective. So, besides walking speed, there's another test you mentioned to me earlier, the trousers test. It sounds a bit funny, but the implications are very serious. What is it?
The trousers test is a simple daily diagnostic. Can you stand on one leg without leaning against a wall or a chair and pull on your pants? If you have to sit down on the edge of the bed to get your legs through your trousers because you're afraid of tipping over, you have a balance deficit. This isn't just about clumsiness. It means the proprioceptors in your ankles and the balance centers in your brain are no longer communicating effectively. It's a massive red flag.
I'm sure many people listening right now are mentally checking if they did that this morning. I know I am. It's these small, everyday movements that hide the biggest secrets about our health. But what if it's not just balance? What if your hands are the ones giving you the warning?
Ah, yes, grip strength. We often think of grip as just hand strength for opening jars, but your grip is a window into your total body protein status and heart health. If you struggle to turn a doorknob or squeeze a ball, it's a sign of systemic muscle loss. Your hands are the canary in the coal mine. If the muscles in your hands are weakening, you can bet the muscles supporting your spine and your hips are weakening too.
It seems like all these signs, walking speed, the trousers test, grip strength, are all linked. They are all whispering the same warning. But there's a specific trap that many people fall into when they feel this weakness. They think they need more calm and gentle movements. But Dr. Collins, you argue that gentle might be the wrong approach. Why is that? We'll find out right after this.
We're back. Dr. Collins, you were just about to tell us why gentle exercise might actually be a trap for those of us trying to stay mobile. In every magazine for seniors, they talk about gentle yoga or light stretching. Are you saying that's not enough?
Stretching is fine for flexibility, but stretching will not save you from a fall. Stretching will not help you climb a flight of stairs when the elevator is broken. To maintain mobility, you need resistance. You need to challenge your muscles to grow, even at 70 or 80 years old. There is a dangerous myth that older adults shouldn't lift weights because they might get hurt. The truth is, you are far more likely to get hurt because you are too weak to support your own body weight. We call this the strength reserve. You need enough strength to handle the unexpected, a slip on ice, a sudden trip.
The strength reserve. I love that term. It's like a savings account for your body. If you have a high balance, you can survive a financial crisis. If you have high strength, you can survive a physical trip. But what about the pain? A lot of people listening have osteoarthritis. They feel like their bones are rubbing together. How do you convince someone in pain to lift something heavy?
It's counterintuitive, I know, but synovial fluid, the lubricant for your joints, only circulates when the joint is under load. When you stay still to protect your painful knee, you are actually starving the joint of nutrition. It becomes drier, stiffer, and more painful. I tell my patients, movement is lotion. Now, I'm not saying you should go out and lift 200 pounds tomorrow, but you must engage in progressive loading. You start small, but you must start. If you don't use the muscle to pull on the bone itself becomes brittle. Osteoporosis and sarcopenia are best friends. They always travel together.
So it's a package deal you definitely don't want to sign up for. It sounds like we need to change our mindset from avoiding pain to building capacity. But let's talk about the biology for a second. We've talked about movement, but what about fuel? I see so many seniors eating like birds, a piece of toast for breakfast, a small salad for lunch. Is that enough to keep these muscles from rotting away, as you put it?
Absolutely not. This is one of the biggest nutritional crises in the aging population. As we get older, our bodies become anabolically resistant. This means we need more protein than a 25-year-old to trigger the same amount of muscle growth. Most seniors are chronically under-eating protein. They think a little yogurt is enough. In reality, you need high-quality, leucine-rich protein at every meal to signal your muscles to stay put. If you don't eat it, your body will literally harvest the protein from your thighs to keep your heart beating. You are eating your own legs from the inside out.
That is an image that will stay with me, eating your own legs. It's a harsh way to look at it, but it emphasizes why that chicken breast or those eggs are so vital. But wait, is there such a thing as bad movement? Can someone actually speed up their mobility loss by exercising the wrong way? We're going to dive into the exercise saboteurs in the next part.
We are diving deep into how to save your mobility. Dr. Collins, we just talked about the need for resistance and protein, but I want to play devil's advocate for a second. Is there a way to do this wrong?
Can someone listen to this, go to the gym, and actually make their situation worse?
Yes, and the most common mistake is ignoring form and eccentric control. Many people focus on just moving the weight up, but they let it drop quickly. The lowering part of a movement, the eccentric phase, is actually where the most muscle signaling happens. But more importantly, the biggest exercise saboteur is inconsistency. People get inspired, they do too much on Monday, they're in pain on Tuesday, and they quit for a month. That stop and start cycle is incredibly hard on aging tendons. You aren't 18 anymore. Your tendons need time to adapt to new loads. If you rush the process, you end up with tendinitis, and then you're back on the couch losing muscle again.
So, slow and steady really does win the race here. But what about the role of the brain? You mentioned earlier that the brain gets scared of falling. How much of mobility loss is actually physical, and how much is just our brain putting on the brakes because it doesn't trust our legs?
It's a massive psychological component. We call it fear of falling, or FOF. Once you have a near miss or a small slip, your brain changes your gait. You start to look down at your feet instead of looking ahead. By looking down, you actually shift your center of gravity forward, making you more likely to fall. You also stop taking long strides and start taking short, tentative ones. This cautious gait actually creates more instability. To fix your mobility, we have to retrain your brain to trust your body again. It's about balance exercises that challenge the vestibular system, your inner ear, and your vision.
That is fascinating. So your brain is trying to protect you, but it's actually making you a target for a fall. It's a glitch in our internal software. I've seen people use walkers when they might not strictly need them yet, just for the feeling of safety. Does using a mobility aid too early actually speed up the decline?
That is a controversial but vital question. In many cases, yes. If you start using a walker or a cane just in case before you truly need it for weight bearing, you're telling your core muscles and your balance sensors that they can go on vacation. They stop working. I've seen patients become walker dependent within months simply because they stopped challenging their own balance. Use it if you must for safety, but if you don't need it, don't touch it. Practice standing on one leg while you brush your teeth. Practice sitting down into a chair without using your hands. These are the tests that keep your brain's software sharp.
Standing on one leg while brushing teeth. I love that. It's a simple habit stack, no gym required. But there's one more thing we haven't touched on, the environment. We talk about our bodies, but our homes are often booby-trapped for aging adults. What are the silent killers lurking in our own homes that we need to fix today?
The home environment is where the majority of mobility-ending injuries happen, and the number one culprit? It's not what you think. It's throw rugs. Those beautiful little carpets in the hallway or the bathroom, they are tripwires. If you have them, get rid of them today. Next is lighting. Most falls happen at night when people get up to use the bathroom in the dark. If your brain doesn't get clear visual data and your balance is already slightly off, you're going down. But the biggest booby trap of all is the bathroom without grab bars. People think grab bars make them look old. I tell them, you know what makes you look really old? A broken hip. We need to swallow our pride and prioritize our safety.
A broken hip definitely looks older than a grab bar. That's a powerful point. We've covered the signs, the nutrition, the exercise, and the environment. But as we wrap up, I want to give our listeners a success blueprint. What is the one thing they should do in the next 24 hours? We'll reveal the golden rule of mobility in our final part. We have reached the final part of our deep dive into mobility. We've talked about the rotting of muscles, the booby traps in our homes, and the sixth vital sign. Dr. Collins, this has been an eye-opener. But for the person listening who feels overwhelmed, who feels like they've already lost too much ground, what is the golden rule they can start today?
The golden rule is never negotiate with the chair. Every time you have the choice to sit or stand, choose to stand. Every time you are about to sit down, do it as slowly as possible. Take 5 full seconds to lower your body until your glutes touch the seat. This is called a negative squat. It is the single most effective way to build the power you need to stay out of a wheelchair. If you do this every time you sit down, you are doing 20 or 30 mini strength workouts every day without even trying. It builds that strength reserve we talked about.
Never negotiate with the chair. I'm going to write that down. It's about reclaimed power. And what about the nutrition side? If someone is going to change one thing about their dinner tonight, what should it be?
Double the protein, half the refined carbs. Get rid of the white pasta or the bread and replace it with an extra piece of salmon, chicken, or a scoop of high-quality whey protein if you have to. You need those amino acids to repair the micro tears you create when you move. Without the fuel, the exercise is just stress. With the fuel, the exercise is youth serum. And don't forget vitamin D. Most people over 60 are deficient, and without vitamin D, your muscles and bones cannot communicate. It's like trying to run a computer without a power cord.
It's amazing how these small pieces, protein, vitamin D, the 5-second sit down, all fit together into a shield against aging. You've given us so much to think about. To our listeners, look at your walking speed, try the trousers test, and please get rid of those throw rugs. Your future self will thank you for the freedom you are saving today.
Exactly. Mobility is independence. When you lose the ability to move, you lose the ability to choose where you go, who you see, and how you live. Don't let your world shrink. Fight for every inch of your movement. It is the best investment you will ever make.
Dr. Collins, thank you for being the wake-up call we all needed. This has been a masterclass in staying strong. And to everyone listening, don't just listen. Stand up, walk, move. Your journey to 90 and beyond starts with the next step you take.
And remember, your body is always listening to what you tell it. If you tell it to rest and fade away, it will. If you tell it to stay strong and move, it will fight for you.
That's a perfect place to end. Thank you all for joining us on this episode of the Longevity Lab. In our next episode, we're going to discuss a controversial topic: why the calcium supplements you're taking for your bones might actually be clogging your heart. You won't want to miss that one. Until next time, stay active and stay informed.
Stay strong, everyone.